This is the VO Life Podcast. All about the ups and downs of being a voice actor in the real world. Casting sites, agents, marketing, using every resource to make sure we keep growing and reaching for more. We may not be superstars, but we're grinding our way up. From the occasional regional to the local 15 and everything in between, we are living the VO life. Join us weekly for recent happenings and interviews with the people who can help you on your walk through the VO life. Now, here's your host and fellow traveler, Troy Holden.
Hey, and welcome back to the VO Life. Can you believe that this is episode 150? 150. I'm blown away that we've made it this far. It's taken a few years to get there. With the ups and downs and throwing in the shorts and skipping weeks and launching a second VO podcast and now retiring that podcast and coming back full steam and full speed to this one. And oh my, how things have changed. Over the time that I got into voiceover back in, let's officially say when I really started was July of 2020, and here we are in September of 2024. And the changes and the things that have shifted and the attitudes and the things that you see going on, man, it has really changed. But life changes, right? Everything changes. As we hear an email come in the background, that's a good thing. Everything changes because that's what this world does, right? Things change. Nothing stays the same. Absolutely nothing. Go back 100 years ago. Holy smokes, how things have changed. Go back 25 years ago. Go back 5 years ago. The change may not be as drastic in 5 years, but in 50 years, we'll look back and see it was a lot of drastic change that went on, especially from 2020 until whenever this is going to, slow down or whatever it's going to do. But let's talk specifically about the business of voiceover, and there is really no topic today other than there's a lot of noise. And there's a lot of noise in good ways, a lot of noise in bad ways, but how do you know what to tune up and how do you know what to tune out? And it's difficult. This is, as I've said many times, by far the hardest profession I've ever gotten into because of many things. It is a creative profession, which requires a lot from you as a person. It is a demanding profession, which requires a lot from you, where you have to be on spot, on time, quick, bend over backwards, and then as I spoke about at OVC, you're wearing all these hats. Most of us are. Now, some of you are smart enough and you've done well enough that you are investing in assistants, or you have virtual assistants, or you have help, or some people even have, live staff, maybe part-time, only a few hours a week for each type of thing they do for you. But that's wonderful that you do that and can sustain that. I've never felt like I wanted to get that big or needed that much help yet. I may one day, but I'll just tell you honestly, and I'm always straight with you guys, my goal was to get in this and make a living. It was not to get in this and make a fortune. If that happened, great. Who wouldn't accept that or love that? But my thing was, can I just work from home, do what I want to do, have my own schedule for the most part, and get this business going and survive and make a living? Because at my age, my plan was this is retirement income. And here in just a few weeks, I'll be 61. At 62, if I want, I can go ahead and pull early Social Security benefits if I want to. Or if I need to. It could come to that because this business changes quickly. It's changed a lot for me in the last couple of years, and now I'm seeing some other changes which are good and bad, and I'll get into that here in a minute. But what noise do you need if you're new at this? What do you need to be paying attention to? What do you need to be ignoring? You need to be definitely paying attention to the trends and what is booking and what is not. Of course, we're seeing a little bit of sway from the dead conversational blah reads to a little more upbeat, a little more lively. But here we are in a huge election season, and we don't know what we're going to have when we come out of this. So we're not all making a ton of adjustments, right? I always say this, look at what you are booking. Go back and look at your last 20 bookings and what are those? What genre, what type of read, whatever. And is that really your strength? And it probably is. Dang, there's another one. And if you can stay after that, you can make that work for you. I think you're going to do okay if you can work with that, within that, and market that. Because if you're booking that, you can book more of that. That's my belief. But positive noise, let's look at it that way, the positive noise. You want to be uplifted. You want to be encouraged. You want to be working with people and around people that can help you. You want to be networking. You want to be, I don't know how else to say it, involved in the industry if you can. But on the other hand, don't feel like you have to be that person who's always seen and heard. There are tons of people in this industry making a lot of money at this, and you don't know their name and probably never see them on these groups or these pages or even at conferences. Lots of people. And then on the other hand, there's lots of people that are there and they're doing very well. You can make that choice, which type of environment you want to be in. You don't have to be in one or the other. You can dabble in a little of both maybe till you figure it out. But one is not going to make you any better than the other. It's not going to make you any less than the other. If you're in this for a quote unquote hobby because you enjoy it and you have a passion for it, but you know it's not going to be a living, that's okay. Just don't overexert yourself and be a big part of all that noise. Let that noise do its own thing. Do you need any of the noise? That's another question you can ask yourself. Can you privately coach, go to some workshops here and there, be that person that hangs around in the background? Heck yeah, you can. You can learn just as much by listening and paying attention as you can by being deeply involved. I do believe there is definite, good things that happen when you go to conferences and meet people and associate with people. I think it's good to interact with other voice actors, but what you'll end up finding is there'll be one or two people, whether it's through a group or through whatever, that you connect with, and you may be at the same level. One may be a little ahead of you or whatever. You'll connect with those people, and that connection will carry you a lot further than some of the things you may have dealt with or seen or felt in, going to these big conferences and things. You need to make those personal connections and have people you can rely on and talk to about the business on a one-to-one basis, because that is where you'll get most of your learning and interaction. I'm involved with a couple of groups of people, and, they're very active, like on a Facebook Messenger. Kicking the can is what I like to call it, throwing ideas out. Hey, I had a client ask this, I had a client do that. What would you do? And it's usually just quick, moral, mental support. And you need that. You need support on a deeper level sometimes, but if you're in this for the game and for full time, chances are you've got a person or two or three that you lean on and you talk to and you rely on. Some more than others, some you go back to, because you've been friends for a long time in the business. And then, maybe there's just that one or two that you really, really count on for that lift. And how much of that noise do you need? You don't need too much, because like anything else, you get too many things going on in your head. Decisions become harder. You start second guessing yourself. Should I listen to this person or that person? You kind of put your trust in a couple of small places and let that be it. It's a very difficult time with a lot of change going on that I see in, I think there's a whole lot more negotiation going on now than there used to be. I deal with that more than before. I'm using a lot of things that I picked up at OVC regarding rates as to pushing back and saying, I'm not taking 40% of the GVAA. You're going to have to come way up. I'm worth more than 40% of that rate. And it's a really nice tool to use. But I'm seeing that more often. Hey, 6 months ago, you did these 2 spots for us. They ran for 6 months on TV here regionally, and we paid this. But this time the client's budget's only this. Can you still help us with that? They do want to keep your voice, but their budget's lower. How many times have you seen that lately? And that kind of noise you hate. Because you really rely on these people if you are their voice for a while, that they're going to keep coming back, and there's not a lot of dark negotiation going on, but it does happen. It happens a lot. I think we're seeing a lot of noise related to rates. Definitely lots and lots of noise out there about AI, because as it gets better and better. Now, how often do we see, here's the AI scratch voice, it just doesn't have a lot of emotion. We don't like, it doesn't hit the right notes, but we'd like the tone and pace and the sound of the voice. It just doesn't, hit the right notes. We see that a lot, and that's very common, and we're going to continue to see that. But it's very scary knowing that side will get stronger and better, because we've seen it get that way over the last year or so. And, technology's just, we all know it doesn't go backwards very often. It goes forward, and that's very scary. We also hear a lot of noise about demos. One of the best posts I've seen recently was on Booth Besties, where someone was talking about, good samples are enough. It doesn't have to be professional sometimes, as long as it sounds good. And you know what? If somebody's really good at mixing and putting it together and getting the right spots, and you collaborate maybe with someone, you hire somebody to write the scripts for you. You hire a coach to coach you through the reads. And then if you're good enough at mixing and editing, and then get the feedback from the coach, you could possibly only invest $500 where other people are asking you to invest, $2,500. Am I saying you're going to come out with the same product? No. But is it good enough for you to market and use? Probably. There's a lot of emphasis put on, you have to have a pro demo to go to agents. You have to have a pro demo, this. And there are a lot of examples out there of people who signed with agencies who did not have the pro demo. They either collaborated, or they self-produced, or they used samples or whatever, and they still got agents. So there's a lot of noise about that. You have to find your way through that and decide what you want to do. Do you want to work strictly with a demo producer who gets you through a demo and gets you a great sounding polished demo? Or would you rather work on it yourself if you have the ability to produce, work with, collaborate with someone who can write the copy, collaborate with someone to coach you through the reads and help you pick them out? And, it's up to you. What do you want to do? Or you just want to set it and forget it, and somebody sends you the copy, they set up a time to read it, and then a few weeks later you get a new demo. It's all up to you. There's no right or wrong way. There's just a lot of noise, right? And none of it's wrong. That's the thing. It's just a personal choice, and there are so many personal choices you have to make in this industry when you start, when you're in the middle, and when you're further along. And, I'm very, just finishing up year 4. Year 4 is, let's call it pretty much in the books, from when I started in July, and then I got on and started making some money by September. And then it was really the first part of 2021, where it really started to become a reality that I could do that for a living, if I turned it up and got the right coaching. And then I really got into the coaching and workshops in 2021, which made me or gave me the opportunity to go full-time in January 2022. So coming up January of next year, I can say I've been at this 3 years. I've had decent growth over year. This year worries me a little bit because June and July weren't fantastic. They were okay, but when I look back at them, I go, well, heck, they were still better than last year. But I had some really good months earlier this year, and it set the bar. And when you set the bar and you're not hitting that, you get worried. And that was what I was dealing with, and still deal with that. And then we came into, about 4 weeks ago, we started a major home renovation, both bathrooms, a laundry room that was down on the garage level, raising the floor up, which we haven't gotten to that yet. That'll start probably here in a couple days. And we're finishing up the second bathroom now, all new flooring all through the house, just a lot of remodeling. The front porch got remodeled, a lot of stuff. And it sidetracks you, not just the noise going on during the day here at the house, but on top of that, I had to run to Lowe's. It felt like twice a day, or Home Depot or Menards or wherever I was going. I was always going to get stuff. I had to coordinate things. I had one guy in here doing most of this, and I'm helping. I'm doing stuff in the evenings and weekends. And it was just he and I had to coordinate everything, buy everything, bring it here, haul it, go to the dump, with all the stuff we'd tear out, sheetrock and flooring and whatever. And I had to load all that on a trailer and take it to the dump and do all that. And that has to happen during the day. They're not open after 5. So all of that has interfered with my workflow for 4 weeks at least, maybe 5 weeks. And I think I've got about 2 more weeks of it. And it has affected my business. I'm staying afloat. I'm okay, but I'm not hammering like I used to, making sure I'm getting those emails out every day and doing this and doing that. So my marketing has suffered a lot. Clients haven't suffered. They won't know. There's no problems. I've been able to mud through that, no problem. But my marketing and what I'm doing for the future has. So what that worries me is if I'm not hustling and sending those reminders and sending those emails and reaching out to people, I'm not setting the table for later. And, I'm only hanging on to what I have. And as we all know, all it takes is one thing, and somebody goes, we're going to start using somebody else, or we're not going to do this anymore, or we're going to do something different, and you're out. And, if you've got X number of clients and 2 or 3 decide they're out, then you're panicking because you've lost a chunk of your business. So I'm really focusing on making sure current clients are happy first, and then I market when I can. And people say, well, you could do that at night. You could do that late at night or after hours. Sure, you can. But the thing is, you build your lifestyle over the last few years to where you're done in the afternoons. You want to go do other things. You got a farm, you got horses. I got things to do outside, a yard to mow, a wife I want to spend time with. There are so many things that you want to do personally. So you're dealing with all that noise. There's a lot of noise related to that, right? All that's going on in your head. Like, nope, I'm going to cut it off at X o'clock and I'm not coming back in here. Not to say if an audition comes by email or whatever, especially something from an agent or whatever, and I see it and I go, oh, that's a perfect fit. I need to run do this. She's fine with that. And, I'm gone for 15, 20 minutes. But typically, no, I try not to come back. When I call it a day, I call it a day. And then we add on top of all of that, all the doctor visits with her back surgery. Now I'm going to the spine clinic. I've got bulge disc, other stuff going on. I had something taken out of my arm. I got to go get stitches out this week. You're always on the go doing that stuff. A lot of noise in your life. And then we got to do a workshop Wednesday this week, automotive workshop. Jenna and I have not done one in quite a while, so we're trying to pull one together for this week. It was kind of quick notice. We only put it out Friday, and it's happening on a Wednesday, and it doesn't give a lot of time for sign up. In other words, it's like you make a decision if you're coming because this may not be back for another 6 months. We don't know. So you're dealing with all that. Throw on top of that life. You never know what's going to happen with that. You could have a sick parent. You could have a sick child. You could have something happen with one of your kids. You got to work all of that in, and there's a lot of noise. What other kind of noise is going on in the industry? We're hearing a lot of things out there, right? We're seeing a lot of things. People less busy, people more busy. What I've noticed is an uptick in people advertising for services, VO-related services, and maybe more people saying 10% off right now or 20% off or sign up for this and get this off. I'm seeing more of that, and then in the back of my mind, right or wrong, goes to maybe they're not as busy with VO and they got more time to market their services. I'm not saying they're not legitimate in their services. I'm not saying that at all. These are people that I would go to that I see doing this. And I think it's just that maybe it's the time of year. I don't know. I'm not positive what it is. Maybe there's so many more people out there offering services. It is having to be discounted because I can tell you, I, for one, am very particular about where I spend that money and how much I'll spend. And I look at rates. Whereas if this person has been of high value to me and they're charging, and I'm just making up numbers, they're charging me $150 for an hour, and this person is somebody I'd really like to work with, but they're publicly saying it's $225. I'm going, I'm getting an awful lot over here for $150, and I will probably stay with my person I'm with. Although I'd love to try something different at times, because what I have learned with coaching is 4 people can teach you the same method, but they teach you in a different way. And you may not learn it correctly or at all from 3 of them. You may not get it because of the way they teach it. Not saying they got a bad method. I'm just saying that you as a person have a way that you learn best. And for me, sometimes the light bulb does not go off with person A, and then it didn't go off with person B, but person C is teaching the exact same thing in a different way, and I got it. And I knew how to reference that and how to make it work. So there's that noise you got to deal with. A lot. There's a lot going on in the VO world. For all of you that are out there new, and let me say this is a different perspective for me as well. I am not as encouraging to people I meet with on a consult as I used to be. And let me say why. And that also has to do with the industry changing. There was a time you could get into this. You could go onto some of the cheaper sites and exercise. You know what I'm saying? Exercise your vocal muscles, get feedback, hear from people, deliver some, lower paying stuff. A lot of that's been wiped away by AI. Those jobs are not out there like they used to be on those platforms. So your stomping grounds or where you're going to try to start up, you can't do what I did because it's not available like it was then with a lot of work. Now it's more of learning, spending, and investing, and then you hope it hits. It's a different way of entry compared to what it was then. A lot of people went the entry route I went. It began to change, and I always encourage people as quickly as you can, get into real coaching, real workshops as quickly as you can. That is going to make you a competitive, good voice actor if it's in you to do it. And my stance on a lot of this now is if you're, gosh, I don't know, this is kind of hard to say. It kind of hurts. It does kind of hurt. If you are thinking you're going to just jump into this and go, and you're overconfident maybe, or you know what I'm saying, you just have been sold a bill of goods, or you really believe this is something you can get into, make a bunch of money, et cetera, I'll be more discouraging of that. I will be more encouraging of taking a proper path over a long period of time, and depending on how the industry changes or what happens in the industry. I'm not saying you're going to be able to invest in the coaching and do this and do that and be successful every time. It doesn't work every time. This isn't for every person that enters. We see it every week. I know last week I saw a post. Somebody was selling their gear and they said, I've tried it a few years. It just ain't working for me. And I give that person the utmost respect for saying, this just wasn't for me. Sometimes maybe it's another avenue of this that is for you. If someone came to me and said you could make a living producing all the time, I would think about it because I enjoy the heck out of it. What was that? I enjoy the heck out of it. But on the other hand, I really enjoy doing voiceover. But, yeah, I a lot of respect for people who make that decision and say, that's it. I can't do it. You know, I've tried. It's frustrating. It takes too much time. It's just not clicking. And I think that's wonderful that you can recognize that and do that. I think the sooner, the better. And the sooner that people realize this is not easy, it's not, I know people are always talking about six figures, make six figures, and I made six figures and blah, 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 blah. That doesn't mean you can. It doesn't mean they, sometimes how they made it or when they made it or how long it took. I don't know. Did they get into this 7-8 years ago and they were making six figures early on, and maybe they still do because they built up clientele? That's great. But to start out, you better expect 5 to 7 years of hustling unless you are that golden child. And there are, those anomalies that make it instantly, but I don't see those like I used to. I used to see people that made a lot of money quickly. In their first year, they were making a lot of money. But I don't know of as many of those, if any, in the last year or two that I've seen or know of. Maybe there are, could be. I do know a lot of people who've gotten in the last 2 years that I see them churning and learning and doing all the right things and going to everything, trying to. And they will admittedly say, I'm not booking hardly anything yet, but I'm learning and I'm getting better. And, and they're getting some agent representation, even though they don't have a huge book of work, because they have worked so hard to learn. They have become very good at what they're doing, and they put out a good solid demo and can deliver. And that's the key. You got to be able to deliver. Very scary moment when somebody, 6 months in gives you work and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. How do I send this? How do I get this down to 30 seconds? I can't, it's 33, it's 32. What am I going to do? A lot of training in this, folks. A lot of training. You got to be a jack of all trades. My gosh, rambling this week, and I apologize, but I've had a lot on my heart about seeing people drop out, seeing people trying to balance all this, seeing people get frustrated that they're not making enough, seeing people posting about, man, I really want to go full time. I'm just not getting the breaks. I'm worried about it. What am I going to do? And, it is what it is. You're just going to have to be patient with it and take your time. This is a very, very difficult occupation to step into. Profession, occupation, career, whatever you want to call it. It's hard. I have my doubts every week, some weeks more than others. But here's the thing for me. I never made a plan B. When I left that corporate world 3 years ago, almost 4, I never made a plan B to say, what am I going to do if this doesn't work? Because I didn't want to go back to what I did. And I did that for well over 30 something years. I didn't want to return to that. So I don't have a plan B. And, like I said earlier, I guess now I sort of have one, because next October, not this October, I could flip the switch and draw that retirement. I don't want to. I want to wait and get a bigger benefit from it. But I could. I have that to fall back on. On the other hand, I also am a very driven person, and, I want to keep pressing and going harder and trying harder. But as I have learned over the last year and a half, I have to be me. I have to not try to be what I'm not. I have to measure my auditions and know where and when to audition and what not to audition for. And that took a long time to give in to that discipline and stay away from the noise that I was hearing of people saying, you got to audition 50 times a day at least. If I had 50 really good auditions that match me, I would audition 50 times a day, but I don't. I knew when I first got into this industry, I was in a niche. I had a niche voice. I had a Southern accent. I would not be competitive with everything, but where I could be competitive, I wanted to be very good at it. And I try very hard to be good at what I do. And it pays off at times, and it's frustrating at times. Could I work harder and reduce my accent more? I took some coaching for that. Sure, if I really, really wanted to do it hard enough, even at my age, sure, I could reduce it more. But then I become maybe a little more or maybe a little less authentic. Maybe I become a little bit more, I sound different. I don't sound as genuine, and I don't want to do that. I'm just going to roll the dice on what I'm doing, right or wrong. And I've ridden it this long. It's been a living. It's not been a get rich quick. I'm not one of those people who will tell you I'm making six figures in my underwear in my closet, because I'm not. I make very close to that, but I make a decent living. And honestly, let's just be flat out with it. I only work about 4 hours a day. I said it. Yeah, typically about 4 solid hours a day. There's other days I'm in the office longer, 6 or longer, when I'm doing some marketing stuff or I decide to do some things out of the box. But then there's other days I'm not in here an hour. I'll come in, knock out some auditions early. I may have appointments to go to, whatever. I come back home, I'm looking, I'm like, well, that's nothing I want to do. That either, and next thing you know, I'm done for the day. I mean, I only did an hour or two. So I'm content with where I'm at. I would like to book more, of course, but I'm content. And I think once you're content, your focus even gets better, because you know what you're booking, you know where to market, you know how to go after it, and you continue to replace anything you're losing, and you hope it builds up even more. My goal this coming year is to increase my base a little bit more, and then to add something out on the West Coast that will give me some better opportunities. So every now and then you get that big bonus, and all of you know what I mean. You book that bigger 5-figure job or whatever, and you're like, yes, because I have my regular coming in, and then when that comes in, it's like, it's a bonus. And for me at my level, it works. For a lot of people, no, that's not what they want. They want to continually get that monthly up, get it up to a certain amount. I want to make $20,000 a month, and I want to make that every month. That'd be great. I'd love that too. But I'm living in my reality, and you got to live in yours. And that's my encouragement to you today. Choose your reality in this. Turn on and off the noise that you need to adjust. Focus on your education, your improvement, your acting. You've got to be an actor. You've got to be, have a vivid imagination. You've got to be somebody who really enjoys changing characters once or twice or 3 times in a 30 or in a 60, and you know how to find and nail what they're looking for. And you're that person who's different. When your audition hits, you're that 1 in 100 that doesn't sound like the other 99, because you've put the effort into it. And that's what it's all about, being different. And turn down the noise as you wish, turn up the noise where you wish, and go forward. If this is for you, keep going. Don't give up. Keep going. If it's not for you, as I said about the person earlier who was brave enough to step out and say, I'm done, I salute you as well. Nothing wrong with that. That point may come for me in another year or two. I don't know. I may say I'm tired of hustling that hard for this amount of money, and I can draw this check and do nothing. But that's not me. That'll never happen. I cannot do nothing. And I enjoy it too much. Hey, that's a whole lot to swallow and digest. after a down week and after Charles coming in and giving us some great interviews the last couple of weeks. Thank you, Charles. I'll try to get him back maybe here next week, and he and I will just chew the fat about some things. He may have some input off of this episode. We'll see. Folks, I want to be encouraging to you, but I also want to be a beacon of light, a beacon of truth. This business is changing. You have to stay involved. You have to stay on top of it. You need to be watching the trends. You need to be knowing what's going on, and, really get your head in the game with it if you're going to do it. And I hope this helps you. I hope there's nothing in here that makes you go, what a jerk. I'm just trying to tell you like it is. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of really good noise, and there's some bad noise. And be sure you listen to the good noise. Stay away from the bad. Invest in yourself. Be the best you can be at this. And, just live in the realization the competition out there is deep, and I mean deep. There are people who are years and years ahead of you. They've been doing this a lot longer. They are booking a lot of work. They continue to book a lot of work, and you're having to break through that barrier to get some of that work. And that cheaper work that was there a few years ago, much of that has disappeared. And again, one more time, what are you booking? That's what you should be going after. And heck, go after it hard. Figure it out. Invest in that marketing course. Learn how to market yourself and get out there, because I can tell you all day long, 65% plus of my business is direct business. And then about 25% of the rest comes from online casting. And then the other is just other. A very small percentage is agency for me, agency slash, I don't have a management company, but we're going to say agency slash management companies for a lot of people who get opportunities from a management company. They may have a way higher percentage than me, but for me, last year it was 2%. This year, right now, 0%. Have not booked an agency job this year. I don't think. The Pfizer thing, I think, was last year, and it wasn't even my own agent. So anyway, on we go, and you guys keep at it. Thanks for listening to the VO Life. Thanks for hanging in there for 150 freaking episodes. It's good to have you, and hopefully Charles and I will be back next week with more of the VO Life.